Welcome back to Game Talk from the Bench. I'm your host, Drew Barreto, and today I'm here with my co-host, my uncle, Andrew Barreto. And today, we got a little bit of football news. We got an extension. Some more players wanted to get an extension. And a couple injury news. And in the NBA world, not much news, but they did drop the schedule. We'll go over some of the matchups for opening day for Christmas and the NBA Cup. That's still new to the NBA. Then MLB will give you standings update. And we'll just get that all covered. But starting off in the NFL, we have Deron Bland, right? Cowboys cornerback. He led the league, or I'm pretty sure he broke the record for amount of pick sixes in a season a couple years ago. Last year, he was dealing with injuries, didn't play all that much, and now he wants an extension. And as we talked about in our last episode, Micah Parsons requested a trade because his contract extension with Jerry Jones did not go anywhere. So now another Cowboys superstar. I'd say he's. I mean, maybe he's not a superstar, but he is an Pro Bowl cornerback. So he and another player wanted a contract, and he's
Jeez,
just we
man.
got to see.
This is what I mean. Like I'm old school, man. You're selected to this team. You signed a contract to begin with, and you play it out, and let's see what happens moving forward. Yeah, it seems like more and more year after year we're seeing players just demand these contracts. I know you could debate on this all day. I know like some of them. It depends on who you are, where it's warranted and you've earned it and you need to restructure, get your agent in on there and start fighting for you. And I get all that, but it seems to be like a recurring theme right now where everybody's just saying, "Oh, he did it." TJ Watt did it. Miles Garrett, said something, and Parsons is doing it now, and it just continues for all positions. Guys just threatening to hold out until eventually they get their way. And if it's anything like that Niners receiver who was whining and now he's going to be gone, right? 6 games or something. What's his name?
Yeah,
Ayuk.
Ayuk. Yeah. They won't be back till early. I think they said the week
I
6.
mean,
Coming back from
he
ACL injury.
and this is why owners got to take that into consideration too. I mean, okay, we're not going to pay you, and then you all of a sudden, just get caught in whatever. I don't know everything about Brandon Ayuk. I just know he got paid and has not that investment return has not been there thus far.
Yeah, no, and I always bring up the argument that of like, dude, the players, value the money over championships. It's the argument, people could have. I personally think, like I said, I always go back to Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the best quarterback in football, but yeah, he was only getting paid $20 million a year, and I'm not just saying $20 million is not a
Yeah.
lot of money. It's a lot of money, but compared to what other quarterbacks were getting in the league, it was like minimum for the quarterback position. That allowed the Patriots to build a team around him. That's why they won 6 Super Bowls with him. So like you said, these guys that keep extending the bar of highest paid, at each position. It's just like these other guys see that and they see big money and they're like, boom, I want that, and boom, that's like 25 to 30% of your salary cap on one player, and then the team has to, they can't sign guys. They have to just rely on the rookies that they draft or sign vets to, the minimum and hope those guys can pan out. And it's tough, Like I said, the salary cap does go up every year, but so does all these big contracts. So it's like at the point to where like if teams really want to win championship, they have to do it when they have a lot of rookie contracts. I mean, last year with the Eagles, yeah, they had the money, they were able to extend a couple of their guys, but they had the young center Cam Jurgens, they had the rookie in DeJean and Quinion Mitchell. Obviously they traded for Saquon, but they had a couple, rookie deals. Jalen Hurts wasn't on a super expensive contract either. So they were able to, build the team, make the Super Bowl. That's what happened. I mean, the Niners, they've been on Brock Purdy's cheap contract, and they've been to the playoffs. They went to the Super Bowl with Brock. Obviously, now they extended him. And you see how it happens. Brock gets paid. Boom, they lost, I don't know how many guys on defense because they don't have the money. And so, with all these players taking big contracts, teams aren't able to build around them. So they only have a tight window of 2 to 3 years when they draft these top rookies that they can make the run at it. Some teams capitalize, some teams don't. I mean, unless you take the Rams route and trade all your draft picks and say, forget the picks,
Yeah.
trade for our guys, and we'll be under that salary cap and go win the Super Bowl. But yeah, I mean,
it handcuffs the organization. You know, it definitely does. Like you said, they can't look to sign elsewhere because they have just this huge margin just tied up into like 3 players, 4 players, whatever it may be. Um, you know, you can't, like you said, you can't build unless you have that type of player who you know, restructures. Maybe like you said, Tom Brady did, and I think Mahomes may have done it as well, just to so he could go ahead and get
yeah,
some players signed. You know, is Dak Prescott going to do that to sign Bland? I don't know. I don't think so. But
yeah, that's a great point. It's a great point because like Dak Prescott, I think is the highest paid quarterback. He's getting like 60 plus million. Now, is he a great quarterback? Yes. Is he worth essentially 60 million? I don't think so. I mean, when he's healthy, they're a playoff team, but he's been injury prone in
yeah,
the past couple of years, so it's not. It's like honestly, he should if they really want to win the Super Bowl, he should be structure his contract. So like it's extend Bland, extend Parsons. I mean, defense wins championships. We saw that
yeah,
last year in the Super Bowl. I mean, the Eagles handed just beat up the Chiefs defensively.
right.
Um, and so yeah, I mean that's a great point with Dak Prescott. But yeah, it's these quarterbacks or these just big time players just they got to help their teams out.
Yeah, and then you know, then you have the next year. It's like Dak went down, and the season went down as well, right? And uh, you know, with that kind of contract, that kind of money being played, a lot of pressure on him. It's you know, I would think it's Super Bowl or bust for them every single year. And as long as he's quarterback getting paid that kind of money, I know Tony Romo back in the day was getting pressure, that kind of pressure, and he didn't make that much money. Like I mean, he made good money again, but
Yeah,
not the value the contracts they're getting nowadays. Some of these you look at them and you know, but that's just the market, and you know, it kind of makes you look at it. It's like, wow, that's a lot of money for this person. And like you said, even James Cook, he got paid. You know, the one thing about him is, you know, his position, his running back position, 16 touchdowns, I think it was. Let's see, where am I at here? 25 years old, young guy.
yeah.
So,
That was the next thing I was gonna get to is James Cook.
you know, he's needed.
Yeah,
I
like I
don't
said,
see his
that was the
Go ahead.
next guy I was gonna get into was James Cook. He took a contract just like Josh Jacobs, the one Josh Jacobs took last year, 4 year, $48 million, 12 million. It's not super crazy, 12 million. It's pretty good for a running back of his caliber. Off the great year he had. They lock him in 4 years. Like you said, he's only 25. He's gonna be in his prime years. 12 million a year is good for. I think it's probably undervalued, but it's good for the running back position. It's 30 million guaranteed. And that's what you want. You want to get your guys, on that, team friendly contract where, they're getting good money, but they're also not like super high. So now the team still has money to spend. Like I said, James Cook was great for the Bills offense last year. Um, like you said, 1,000 yards, 1,000 plus yards. He had 16 touchdowns. I mean, that Bills offense, obviously it's running around Josh Allen, but James Cook was a huge part last year. They got into the playoffs. Obviously, didn't make it to the Super Bowl, but it's that's what you want to see from your what am I supposed how to say this your team players, right? The guys you draft. You want to see those team friendly contracts. Like even Kyron Williams took that type of deal. He took 11 million per year. I think he did a 3 year, 33 million deal to stay with the Rams. I mean, these teams draft you. Um, you play well, they want to pay you, but they want to pay you reasonably because they want to win. Still, that's each team's job. The ownership's job is to win championships. And
Right.
obviously, to win championships, you want to keep your best players, but you also got to build a team because it's a team sport. But
Yeah, and it's like, you know, he went from um, let's see here. I got his stats here. Like you say, he's a young guy, 25. He's a draft pick by the Buffalo Bills. He went from two touchdowns, and then boom, 16. So I like the contract too. You know, it's kind of like solidifies their running back need there, their position that was successful last year, and it's critical for what Josh Allen and the Super Bowl aspirations they have. So yeah, they need to lock him in, and yeah, I don't think they broke the bank there. Uh, they reasonable contract that um, it's going to bode well, as they say in the business.
Yeah, like you say, the Bills were constantly, trying to figure out finding running back one. Obviously, they drafted Cook a couple years ago. He was the backup, and now he came out last year was a starter, and now boom, now they have their starting running back, for the next 4 years. And and most teams they need a running back. I've seen the stat where it was like the top rusher in the Super Bowl, and it wasn't big name guys in the Super Bowl, but obviously last year Saquon Barkley, 2,000 yard season, he was the biggest reason why the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I mean, he was just such a force of nature to be reckoned with. I mean, teams game plan around stopping the run against Saquon and forcing Jalen Hurts to pass, and that's they say pick your poison, and running backs are undervalued in the league, but that's just
And
the
I
way
think
it
he
goes.
was he was also smart to take that contract, because it's not him; it's the next man up, and in that offense where it's just Josh Allen, running gun or shotgun formation or whatever they end up doing, they almost is like it's one of those offenses where I feel they could plug and play, and and the statistics show for Cook that hey, that offense, him being in that offense, benefited the Bills, now benefited you. Our move for signing there, and um, Super Bowl it is. That's the goal.
Yeah, yeah. Bills have been there. They've been in the playoffs. They've fallen short the past couple of years, but they're always going to be in. As long as Josh Allen's the quarterback, they're always
Yeah.
going to be in there. They're going to be competing. But moving on from Deron Bland and James Cook, we got some injury news. Sheduer Sanders strains oblique during practice is now unlikely to play Saturday versus the Eagles. Today is Wednesday, August 13th. We all know, Sheduer made his debut in the preseason last week. He had a pretty good game. I know one play he had took a loss of downs, took a sack on fourth down, or he threw it away on fourth down. But otherwise, he looked pretty sharp. He looked pretty good in his debut. He threw for 100, I think 50 plus yards, 2 touchdowns. But yeah, it just says he strained his oblique during practice in their throwing portion. Um, but he's not the only one who's injured. I mean, the injury bug has hit Cleveland. Kenny Pickett had a hamstring injury. Dylan Gabriel also had a hamstring injury, and then Joe Flacco's 40. Um,
So
so
yeah, I think he's sit him out in the preseason, maybe the next two games. Actually, how many do they play now? They play three or four. I know
I think they
they
play
used to have like what,
four or three. No, I think it's three. I think it's three
four.
because
Yeah, it used to
I
be
think they
four
used to
back
have
in the
four. Now
day, and
it's
it's like, hey,
now it's three.
this is a bit much. So maybe keep him out the remaining um, preseason games. But yeah, I think with everybody you just mentioned, I think he's a starting quarterback for the Browns. Put him in there. Let him get some work as soon as possible, and he's got something to prove as well, right? Dropping that far down, I know he's probably eager to play and wants to learn, and yeah, I say put him in there. Well, obviously once he's healthy, but yeah, keep him out preseason. Preseason, you know how that goes. I mean, it's like, is anybody really watching besides the coaches unless you're working in the NFL? But other than that, yeah, like you said, the other guys to choose from. I pass on him. I put Sanders in there. Start him week one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Deshaun's dealing with the Achilles injury. We don't know if he's returning at all. They currently have four quarterbacks on the roster. Head coach Kevin Stefanski said they are open to keeping all four on the roster, but there's also some, optimism that they trade one or cut one. After
Yeah.
his Shadir's game last week, he was still quarterback four on the depth chart. But I mean, obviously, Joe Flacco, he's old, right? But he did lead the Browns to the playoffs a couple years ago, or yeah, last year? No, not last year. A couple seasons ago. They lost in the first round, but he was the quarterback, and they did go to the playoffs, and he was playing pretty well. But yeah, he's old. He's 40. Dylan Gabriel, like I said, dealing with a hamstring injury. We haven't seen him thus far. Kenny Pickett he started for Pittsburgh, then he was a backup to Jalen Hurts. Obviously, he won the Super Bowl last year, and now he's competing for a spot. I don't know if he'll win it. I mean, like it's tough when three of your four quarterbacks are dealing with an injury and you can't watch any of them play. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that playoff run with Flacco, yeah, he was hot. He got hot at the right times and thought he was going to continue to pull out some magic there. But yeah, no, I mean he's a little bit on the age side. We're gonna sooner or later you're gonna have to stop Flacco. Let these young guys get in there, see what they got, and that's what I think. What the head coach is going to do is put in one of these young guys, and I'm thinking Sanders to start his. Is this his first year, or he's been the coach of the Browns already, Stefanski.
Stefanski, he's been a coach for a couple of years. I think since 2018, 2019.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's been the coach for a little bit. Um, but yeah,
Poor
I mean, it's
guy.
just yeah. I mean, they went to the playoffs. They had a chance to beat the Chiefs a couple of years ago. They kind of got screwed by the refs, but we can't talk about the refs because
Might
but
get fined.
might get fined. Yeah, but yeah, I mean it's just tough seeing you trying to evaluate who's your quarterback one. Obviously, Flacco's proven he's won the Super Bowl, but you got three younger guys and you can't really see them because they're all injured. So tough position for head coach Kevin Stefanski and the Browns, but you gotta play it week by week and hopefully your guys get healthy sooner than later. But moving on from the NFL, we are going to the NBA where there isn't much news, but they did drop um, some big schedules. They dropped opening night. They dropped Christmas Day as well as the NBA Cup. And before we get into it, just know many subscriptions are gonna have to be purchased to watch these games. We'll start off with
Jeez.
the opening week on Prime. Amazon Prime, Friday, October 24th. We have Celtics at Knicks and Timberwolves at Lakers. So we have the rematch um, of the playoffs between the Celtics and Knicks. Obviously, Celtics will be without Jason Tatum. And then we have Timberwolves versus Lakers, another playoff rematch. LeBron and Luca taking on Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves. We'll see how that goes. Then again, NBA on Prime is going to be on Prime for the NBA Cup from October 31st to November 28th. Um, let's see. I'll talk about the groups.
I'm,
So we
I'm
got the groups.
canceling subscriptions, and they're making it tough for me to watch all these games. That's why I don't know a lot of this stuff anymore. I mean, how many subscriptions do I got to pay for to get the games? So you're telling me there's Peacock and Amazon and Netflix and oh man,
And then your normal subscription and watch it on ESPN. But yeah, so NBA groups we got the West A, which is Timberwolves, Thunder, Suns, Kings, and Jazz. Obviously, the reigning champs are going to be favorites. I will probably have them winning that group. Um, and then in the East, we have the East A. We have the Hawks, the Cavs, the Pacers, the Raptors, and the Wizards. Between those five teams, it's going to be Cleveland are the best team out of those five. And then going to the West B, we have Mavericks, Clippers, Lakers, Grizzlies, and Pelicans. I think this is the most competitive group. Obviously you got the young. I mean, you don't have the young Dallas Mavericks, but you got Dallas Mavericks with Cooper Fly, but we will be without Kyrie Irving. Obviously, you have the veteran team in the Clippers. Then you got Luca and the Lakers. Ja and the Grizzlies, they're a young team. And then you got the young Pelicans who just traded for Jordan Poole, drafted the center, have Zion. See how that goes. We'll get DeJounte Murray back. But I think the Clippers come out of top on that if they're healthy. In the East B, we have Celtics, Brooklyn, Pistons, Magic, and 76ers. I think a healthy 76ers team wins. I just think, Embiid, when he's healthy, is one of the best players in the NBA. Obviously, he was
yeah.
injured all last year, so have to see. And then we have the West C, which is Rockets, Warriors, Denver, the Nuggets, the Trailblazers, and the Spurs.
Hmm.
Obviously, I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna say the Warriors win because they did beat the Rockets in the playoffs. I believe they could have beat the Nuggets too. And then Portland's still a young team, and same with the Spurs. And then the East T, we got Hornets, Bulls, Heat, Bucks, and Knicks, and I got the Knicks taking that group. They were right there in the finals, and they just fell short to the Pacers. But going back to the schedule, um, so yeah, between um, October 31st, so Halloween through November 28th, which is that 28th, isn't that Thanksgiving? That
Yeah.
will be an NBA Cup. Those games will be played throughout NBA for the Cup. And then opening night and MLK schedules unveiled. Opening night on NBC, which is Tuesday, October 21st. We got Houston at Oklahoma and Golden State at the Lakers. That is Tuesday. That's opening night. So that's Tuesday, October 21st. The games early are opening week on Friday. Christmas Day. Where are the Christmas games at? Um, let's see. And then again on opening week, which is Wednesday. Wait, what? Oh yeah, that's what I covered. Wednesday, October 22nd. Rockets, Thunder, Warriors, Lakers. Um, and like I said, those are good. Those games are on Peacock and NBC, so that's another subscription. People gotta buy. I'm trying to take all your money. And then Christmas Day,
Unless you
everyone
get
loves Christmas.
unless you get one of those bootleg boxes, one of those black boxes, get like 1,000 channels.
Yeah, I
You could
mean,
try that route. But yeah, that's a lot of subscriptions there. I mean, I'm gonna watch whatever I can. I know football hasn't started yet, but I'm a little excited for in a few months for basketball to get started with all the the moving pieces that we've had. Like I know you mentioned the Rockets, and the Rockets now have KD, and
yeah.
that's just gonna be major. Luka's now skinny again. I mean, it's gonna be good.
Yeah,
And like you said.
it's gonna be another great year. Last year was a great season. I thought. Just
Mhm.
we had a great finals. It's just one injury ruined Game 7, but I mean that's just part of the game. Otherwise, I thought last season was great. We'll see how this season goes. Obviously the West will be tough as ever. East is wide open. We'll see who comes out on top of the East. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year. But Christmas Day has ESPN. No one's got to really buy that. But to start us off, we got Knicks at Cleveland. Um, or Cleveland at Knicks. I don't know. Just Cleveland versus the Knicks. That'll be a good matchup. We got the young Spurs versus the reigning champs and the Thunder. Um, we got Klay Thompson versus the Warriors.
Um,
And then we got Rockets. We got KD versus LeBron. Rockets versus Lakers. And then we got Anthony Edwards versus the Nuggets to end off the night. So that's a great Christmas Day schedule. And then MLK, we got Bucks versus Hawks. Thunder versus Cavs, Mavericks versus Knicks, and then Celtics versus Pistons. So yeah, the NBA schedule dropped. Um,
they,
obviously,
they've been nailing the Christmas games.
yeah, Christmas games have been great.
I mean, they
I mean all
just
the time. The
had
only thing,
one after another, and then
yeah,
just good games in general. I mean, of course there's probably some stinkers in there but I could remember last year them being some entertaining games. So yeah, NBA is pretty good at that, and yeah, like I said, it'll be exciting for sure.
yeah. Obviously, the only thing that I wish the NBA does is bring back the Christmas jerseys.
The
You
Christmas
know,
jerseys, yeah.
it's only one day out of the year.
Uh-huh.
Let those teams have it like a cool Christmas themed jersey. They used to do it back in a couple seasons ago. I remember, always watching the Warriors versus Cavs on Christmas Day. They'd always have the nice Christmas font and stuff, and it was cool. But in past recently, they just have like the little like I don't know like badge or something. But
Right.
yeah, they got to bring back those jerseys. Once a year they got to do it. Right?
Bring
I
them
mean,
back.
they just
Why
have to.
not?
Why not? Just for one game. Let them do it. Just like when the Warriors are having their last home game in Oracle, they were able to bring back the We Believe jerseys for the one time. I mean, I think they should allow teams to do that a little more often. 'Cause I think that's pretty cool. Allows gives them more money if they're allowed to if they're allowed to sell the jerseys. So why not? Why not? It doesn't hurt to have some
Like it.
Christmas
I
jerseys.
like it. Bring back the old school jerseys.
Yeah, but moving on from the NBA, like I said, that was just the schedule. Not much news going around. But moving on to the MLB, give you a quick standings update. Out of the American League East, the Blue Jays are leading first place, and they have a pretty, I want to say comfortable, but they got a decent lead. They're 4.5 games above the Red Sox. Yankees are third place. They're at 64 and 56. The Rays that a couple weeks ago were in contention have fallen off. They are 58 and 63. I don't believe they will make the playoffs, but there's a good chance that the Yankees, Red Sox, and Blue Jays could all make the playoffs, but we gotta wait and see. In the American League Central, Tigers obviously still one of the best teams in baseball. They were struggling a little bit. The last 10 they were 5-5, but they still lead that. They're 70-52, followed by the Guardians who are 62-57. Guardians in the wild card race, they might make it, but it's tough because in the American League West, we talked about it, or I didn't talk about it with you, but I talked about it with my guest, with my brother at the trade deadline. Astro made some uh, big time trades. They got Carlos Correa. Mariners acquired Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez. Those two are neck and neck for first place. Rangers are 6, 7.5 games behind. Um, and in the National League, Phillies are taking a 4.5 game lead over the Mets. The Mets are 2-8 in the last 10. Marlins are 3-7 in the last 10, but they went on a little bit of a hot streak. They swept the Yankees about a week or two ago. But yeah, Phillies lead the National League East. And in the Central, Cubs, who led the NL Central for the longest time, have been overtaken by the Brewers, and the Brewers are 10 and are on I think they're on an 11 game win streak. And they've
Well,
taken
got
almost
12 here.
12. Is it 12? Yeah, 12 game win streak. They've been the best team in baseball. There's 76 wins. Um, they've taken an 8.5 game lead, a 7.5 game lead over the Cubs, which is crazy. And then you got the Reds that are 64-58. They're in wild card contention. Cardinals are 61-61. I don't believe they make it to the playoffs. The Pirates basically eliminated. Um, but in the NL West, as of right now, this is like I said, this is a Wednesday, August 13th, 7:32. The Dodgers are currently playing the Angels. They're on the verge of getting swept by the Angels. Well, not on the verge. But they've lost the past 2 games to the Angels. But as of right now, the Padres are first place in the NL West after being down behind 9 games. Maybe a month ago, they've come back and now they're 69-52. If the Dodgers win, they'll be tied for first place. But as of right now, Padres are first place, obviously followed by the Dodgers. Diamondbacks 59-62. Giants 59-62. Giants were in wild card playoff contention. Now they are 3 games under 500. They 4-6. They just got swept by the Padres, and another tough year for the Bay Area team. But yeah, I mean, not much injury news. Like I said, Aaron Judge is back for the Yankees.
Yeah, I
But that's
saw
just
that
your standings
too.
update.
As you were going through it, I did notice the Brewers with 76 wins, and I'm looking at everybody else because I'm looking at the playoff standings right now, and they got the best team in baseball, the best record in baseball right now at
Yeah, I mean
70.
they're one of the younger teams in baseball, and they've just been hot. They've been riding the wave, and that's what you want. You want to get hot between mid August, early September, and take it into October. So we'll see. But those Brewers will definitely be in the playoffs, and we'll see if they'll be dancing in October or not. But that'll be all for today. Thank you all for tuning in. I'd like to thank my co-host, my uncle, for joining me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on what you guys want us to talk about next. We are on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify. Um, yeah, one last time, thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, stay ready.